Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. I'm pre-recording today's show. Reason for it is I've got a really busy schedule today, and I wouldn't be able to do the show live if I didn't pre-record it. So, um, in lieu of that, just letting you know, I don't have my espresso with me at the moment because it's nearly 1 a.m. and I need to get a few hours of shut eye before I go through a very long day tomorrow. A very long day. But we've got a packed show for all of y'all today. So without further ado, let's get right into the show. Coffee cup cheers for everyone enjoying their cup of coffee, your tea, your Red Bull, your Excel, whatever it is you enjoy in the morning, a Coke Zero. Like everyone says one thing, and I'll tell you this about being in Israel. Coke Zero tastes so much better here. Way better than the States. Like I got off of Coke Zero for a little bit. I'm here and I'm addicted again. And then I'll go to the States, I'll taste it, and I'll go, I don't want it. All right, let's get right into the show this morning because we've got a lot to talk about, including a cyber attack on Russian airline Aeroflot causing mass flight disruptions in Russia. So Russia's under sanctions. They don't have a lot of domestic carriers. Aeroflot is their national carrier. It's the main mode of transportation in the largest country on planet Earth. Russian authorities confirming on Monday that Aeroflot, the country's largest airline and national carrier, was hit with a cyber attack causing widespread flight delays and cancellation. Aeroflot saying the technical failure was to blame for the disruption, which began Monday morning, forcing the airline to cancel more than 50 flights, including on routes like Moscow to St. Petersburg and Sochi. Some flights planned for later in the week were also canceled. The company said it was working to restore normal operation, promising to refund passengers or rebook their tickets once their systems are back online. Aeroflot's shares dropped 4% on Mondays. It also hit subsidiary companies of Aeroflot like Russia and Podeba. Local media sharing photos and videos from Russian airports showing long lines of passengers and flight boards filled with delays, especially on domestic routes. So, again, Russia, since the war with the Ukraine, under a lot of sanctions. Aeroflot only flies to several countries that still allow Russian airplanes to land there, primarily Iran, China, Venezuela, Cuba. I'm trying to think who else. Probably Belarus and a few others. So, but it's still huge. I mean, I've flown on Aeroflot a few times when I've gone to Russia. Aeroflot is what American Airlines used to be for America, right? Like pride. Pro-Ukrainian hacker group by the name Silent Crow, along with the Belarusian cyber partisans, claiming responsibility for the attack. Both groups are known for previous cyber operations against critical infrastructure in Russia and Belarus. In a statement on Telegram, the attackers claim to have completely compromised and destroyed Aeroflot's IT infrastructure. Okay, I'm just going to say this. They tend to exaggerate. We destroyed their IT infrastructure. If Aeroflot had network segmentation, which they likely had, if they had resiliency plans, which they likely did, and if they didn't, then that's just absolutely crazy. They said they stole the airline's entire database of flight history, audio recordings of internal calls, and even surveillance data, including information on staff monitoring systems. They said that they maintained access to Aeroflot's corporate network for over a year, gradually deepening its foothold within the infrastructure. If that's the case, I want to see proof. I want to see proof. Show us. Restoration will likely require tens of millions of dollars. The damage is strategic, the group claims. We'll see how true that is. I mean, Russia's going to put all of its money and all of its efforts behind restoring Aeroflot. So the question is, if that's true, then it would take them a really long time to restore, or what's a really long time in terms of Aeroflot definition? Meaning, if they had to rebuild it, could they still operate their aircrafts without this information going on an old school, non-techie way? And Russia's kind of known for that and that resiliency. Like there's some Devushka sitting somewhere that used to do it before computers, and they'll likely call her up and she'll show up and teach them all how to do it, kind of like how the city of Atlanta did it during their ransomware attack in 2019. So Silent Crow, a relatively unknown threat actor, has been linked to several disruptive cyber attacks in Russia. So now we see this. We'll keep you looped in Aeroflot is one of the few times Russian officials have publicly confirmed a cyber attack, with Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov calling the reports of the hack concerning and saying the government was awaiting further clarification. Mind you, these types of warfares in the Russian-Ukraine war do lead to actual physical warfare, meaning the launch of potential drones and missiles at strategic places within the Ukraine. So we'll see what the Russian response to the cyber attack will be. But that's not the only thing taking place, where 1 terabyte of data was allegedly stolen from France's state-owned defense naval firm Naval Group after a cyber attack breached the company. The company is characterizing this as a destabilization attempt and a reputational attack, to which it has responded by filing a complaint to protect its clients' data. Who are you going to file? The French never cease to amaze me. We're going to file a complaint. To who? To who? You're a state-owned defense firm. You were hacked. Someone stole apparently 1 terabyte worth of data, leaking some of it on a hacking forum. You're characterizing this as a destabilization attempt and reputational attack, when in reality, they stole data. What's 1 terabyte's worth of data? Due to the gravity of the claims, the company itself says it sees no signs of any of its IT systems being breached or its operations haven't been impacted. But stealing data in this type of scenario they don't have to do a ransomware attack. They don't have two things could be true at the same time. You could get hacked, data could be exfiltrated, and you don't have a ransomware attack. All of that could be true. So please, they're apparently now launching a investigation into this, and as information becomes available, we'll let you know. Again, Naval Group is a French defense contractor that specializes in naval defense systems and warships. It's majority owned by the French government, with the rest held by defense giant Thales groups. So we'll see if that is the case there. They primarily supply to the French Navy, but they've also exported to countries like Australia, Brazil, India, and Egypt. So we'll see what happens there. Nation Group, one of Thailand's leading media conglomerate, confirming that it faced more than 200 million cyber attacks over a span of 3 days as the escalation of the war between Thailand and Cambodia ensued. According to the Nations Group's official statement, the cyber attacks appear to be a systematic attempt to disrupt Thai media reporting, especially platform upholding journalistic ethics and standards. In a 24-hour window alone, the group's main website, nationthailand.com, was hit with over 223 million requests, a classic DDoS type of attack. But it wasn't just website traffic. The Nation and Thai news social media pages were also heavily targeted, including spam comments, fake account activity, false claims, mass coordinated reporting to Meta, with the aim of getting legitimate news pages taken down. So you're seeing more and more of this stuff as stuff escalated. We saw this post October 7th in between Israel and Hamas. We saw that during the Israel and Iran war, Russia and Ukraine, and now Thailand and Cambodia. This has now become a standard playbook of attacking specific organizations within a nation at times of conflict. Cyber warfare is real. It's there. And when you look at a case like this and you're a practitioner, you ask yourself the question, are we ready for it? If things escalated in my neck of the woods, would I be ready? Is my company ready? Could we handle this? And if the answer is I don't know, it's a great time to go into your incident response plan. It's a great time to look at your business continuity plan and make those plans. All right. We continue with some AI vulnerabilities this morning, folks. And a vulnerability in Google's Gemini CLI is allowing attackers to silently execute malicious commands and even exfiltrate data from developers' computers using an allow list program. The flaw discovered and reported to Google by the security team at Tracebit on June 27th, with the tech giant releasing a fix in version 0.1.14, which became available just a few days ago on July 25th. Gemini CLI first released on June 25th as a command line interface tool developed by Google that enables developers to interact directly with Gemini from the terminal. It's designed to assist with coding-related tasks by loading projects files into contacts and then interacting with LLM using natural language. The tool can make recommendations, it can write code, it can even execute commands locally, either by prompting the user first or by using an allow list mechanism. That's where the Tracebit researchers found the bug. They say that they explored the new tool immediately after it's released, found it could be tricked into executing malicious commands. If combined with UX weaknesses, these commands could lead to undetectable code execution attacks, which is a scary thought all of within itself. They demonstrated the attack by setting up a repository containing a benign Python script and a poison readme.md file, then triggered a Gemini CLI to scan it. Gemini first instructed to run a benign command, then ran a malicious data exfiltration command that it treated as a trusted action, not prompting the user to approve it, showing you that AI is still not good enough to recognize when it's being fooled. So trust it just a little bit. But attackers, on the other hand, could use a recently patched macOS vulnerability to bypass the transparency, consent, and control security checks and steal sensitive user information, including some from Apple Intelligence cache data. TCC is security technology and privacy framework that blocks apps from accessing private user data by providing macOS control over how data is accessed and used by applications across Apple devices. You know that little thing that pops up in front that says ask app not to track? That's it. Apple fixing the security flaw track, the CVE 2025-31199er, reported by Microsoft's Jonathan Bar-Orr, Alexia Wilson, and Christine Fusacek. I'm sorry, Christine. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to get your last name right. In patches released in March for macOS Sequoia 15.4 with improved data redaction, Apple restricts DCC access only to apps with full disk access and automatically blocks unauthorized code execution. Microsoft found that the attackers could use the privileged access of Spotlight plugins to access sensitive files and steal their contents. Obviously, this has been patched up. They demonstrated it, but nonetheless, showing you that as time goes by, more of these AI tools become available, these stories will become far more common. And now, folks, our friends over at ThreatLocker would love to see you next week at Black Hat. Here's a message from them. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with our friends at ThreatLocker. Imagine taking a proactive, deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. ThreatLocker helps you do this and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based support team to stop the exploitation of trusted applications within your organization to keep you running efficiently and secure, protected from ransomware. Worldwide companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. To learn more about ThreatLocker, if you're in Vegas for Black Hat, go check out their booth, 1933 on the floor, and tell them I sent you. All right, so thanks to our friend at ThreatLocker. Go check them out next week if you're at Hacker Summer Camp. So, scattered spiders being observed targeting now the VMware vSphere environments, taking full control of hypervisors, according to Google's threat intelligence group. So, these guys have wreaked havoc on MGM. They've wreaked havoc on a whole bunch of organizations like Mark and Spencer's, Co-op, and Harrods. So they've been up and about. Several of the members of the groups have been charged and arrested, but again, the decentralized nature of cybercrime keeps them active. A fresh report from Google's threat intelligence group focuses on the group's vSphere centric attacks, showing how they pivot from Active Directory to vSphere to steal data and deploy ransomware directly from the hypervisors. That way they bypass security tools that have limited to no visibility into ESXi hypervisors and vCenter server appliances. According to Google, the threat actors move from low-level footholds to complete hypervisor control methodically across 5 phases, from initial access to reconnaissance to privilege escalation to vCenter control pane compromise to hypervisor heist, backup and sabotage, and ransomware execution. Be mindful of your TTPs and IOCs in your environment. The scattered spider also speaks fluent English, no accents. They call your help desk. They social engineer your folks. They get them to reset employee Active Directory passwords, and then they harvest that information to identify administrators, weak access controls. They'll call the help desk again. They'll reset a password for an admin account and do so over and over and over again. Train your help desk, train your employees, monitor for suspicious activity, set controls in place. The only way to deal with these threat actors is not another tool. It's in putting in the right controls, understanding their TTPs and IOCs, locking down your help desk, locking down the view into these environments, making sure that when one of those TTPs, when one of these IOCs pops, you lock it down, you shut it down, you investigate, you contain, You rebuild if you need to, or you clean it out. Either way, you've got to be there. Again, enforcing phishing resistant MFA, isolating critical identity infrastructure, network segmentation, all helps build resiliency there. Security researcher Bobby Gold publishing a blog post demonstrating how a complete exploit chain for CVE 2025-20281, an unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability in Cisco's identity services engine. So this is now a public exploit. 3 weeks ago, the vendor added one more flaw to the same bulletin here to the CVE 2025-20337, which related to the same flaw of 20281. Although hotfixes were previously made available, Cisco urged users to update to 3.3 patch 7 and 3.4 patch 2 to address both of those vulnerabilities. We now know there's active exploits, so Cisco is now urging admins to apply to security updates as soon as humanly possible. With sufficient times having passed, administrators that don't apply the updates could risk having the active exploit take place within their environment. Researchers achieved arbitrary command execution as root inside a Docker container by exploiting the behavior of the Java runtime exe. So you want to make sure you get this taken care of. And our final story of the day, CISA warning the threat actors that are still exploiting a high severity vulnerability in the PaperCut NG and MF print management software, which could allow them to gain remote code execution in cross-site request forgery attacks. The developer is saying more than 100 million users use its products across 70,000 organizations worldwide. The security flaw is an older one. It's CVE 2023-2533. It was patched in June of 2023. However, some instances still remain unpatched. CISA now adding this to their catalog and ordering federal civilian agencies to patch their systems no later than August 18th, as mandated by the Binding Operational Directive 22-01. So Shadow servers saying that there's over 1,100 PaperCut MF and NG servers that are still exposed online, but not all are vulnerable. Some have been mitigated. Some of these flaws are being exploited by ransomware gangs, so you want to make sure you get this patched up as soon as humanly possible. That's it for our show today. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live with all the latest and greatest. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Go check out our friends at Threat Locker if you're at Hacker Summer Camp, and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.